Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? This is Darren Marion with Blerd Planet, and I got brother Israel Doctrine right now on the Hangout. Um, Reason why I wanted to have brother Israel Doctrine on today, well, a Blerd Planet is about the Black intelligentsia. A Blerd is a Black nerd, and I believe that every at Blerd Planet we believe that everybody is a nerd because everybody knows a lot about something. And this brother knows a lot about a lot of things that you normally wouldn't expect him to know a lot about. And the reason that I'm actually wanting to interview him for this channel was was over listening to one of his shows the other day, and I heard him talk about how he taught himself how to read, and I really wanted to delve into that and uh, to talk about what was his process around learning how to read, teaching himself how to read, and then of course how that helped him with his overall drive. That drive is helping him with this other movement that he has going on right now. So, and we'll touch on that briefly. So, brother, can you introduce yourself?
Peace, how y'all doing? My name is Carl Labert. I'm better known as Israel Doctrine around the YouTube community due to the fact that a lot of people use alias um and they come up with names for themselves outside of their government name to hide their identity. But yes, I'm Carl Labert. My full name is Carl Labert Davis. You can find me on Twitter as Carl Labert Davis. But I go by Carl Labert because I was named after the Speaker of the House of 1977.
Oh wow, okay, that's
So,
something to be proud
yeah. So I'm somewhat of a speaker for the House. So
of.
it's a fitting name or whatever. But yeah, I was born in 1977. I came to the knowledge of the fact that my people, the ones that was enslaved here in North America, was pretty much the Israelites of the Bible, part of the lost tribes of Israel. Um, I came by this knowledge by reading the Bible and searching for, end time prophecy, which is known as eschatology, end time prophecy dealing with stuff because we was heading to the 1999 party that Prince was telling us about when we was younger. So I started looking into prophecy and stuff more. And as I did that, I came into the knowledge that I attained, and I've been dealing with that since 96, 97. And
So
like I said,
that brings me. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I started reading the Bible, but once upon a time, I couldn't read it all. The old I got, lacking ability to read, um, I got, looked at kind of bad because I never knew the secrets to reading. So that's what I was talking about on the show the other day. But the more I dealt with the Bible, the more I read, the more research and study I did to try to gain knowledge of the world that we living in today. My reading skills grew because I used the skills that I acquired eventually to learn how to read. I used them more, and the more you use them, and the more you use phonics and deal with, you know,
Hmm.
these type of things, the better you get. So that's where we at.
Okay. Well, how did you learn about phonics? I mean, at what point, where were you at where you determined that, hey, I can't read, or, how old were you when you kind of got to that determination that you weren't able to read, and then how would you say that affected your overall self esteem as a child?
Well, the younger ages, I was able to keep up because I was able to memorize, and that's how most people teach reading. You see this word, what do it say? She. Now, when every time you see that word, you know it say she. Well, what do this say? House. Well, every time you see that word, you done memorized it. House is house.
Right.
So when I was younger, the fact that I was intelligent enough to memorize words and remember what I seen and stuff, then I could keep up. But as I got older and the vocabulary or the terminologies became more difficult and you had to sound them out and stuff, then the lack of knowledge or skills to do that was holding me back from the people that attain those things. So
Okay. How would
funny.
you? Go ahead. I'm sorry, man. Phonics.
Oh, Hooked on Phonics was a thing that they were selling back in the 90s. They came out with a commercial, Hooked on Phonics, where they said they teach you phonics. Well, I never had a problem learning. I just never knew what I needed to learn because no one told me about it. So therefore they didn't teach me. And I had lack of knowledge that this is a process that you have to learn. So I learned what phonics was, and I got hooked on phonics, not purchasing Hooked on Phonics, but I started looking at them, and then I would go in the dictionary and I would see how you deal with, you know, syllables and stuff. And then I started trying to write a little bit like rhymes and stuff. Then I learned, you know, rhyming patterns, you know, she, he, B, D, and you know, so now those are dealing with phonics because now you're dealing with words that have the same, what I just called them a few minutes ago,
With sounds.
sounds. But what else are they when you in the dictionary and they cut it up?
Are you talking about syllables?
Syllables.
Yeah. Yes, syllables.
So now, like if you writing a a rhyme pattern, you looking for words that have the same syllables or have the same sounds or rhyme, and now you got an AA rhyme pattern. Then
Yeah.
you want to go AAB B. So you get two words that go he, she, and then you might want to go Ray say. So
Mm-hmm.
now you're dealing with the phonics, the sounds, the syllables, and the more you deal with this, the more your skill level with dealing with words grow.
Yeah. It's almost mathematical the way you kind of you put it all together. I think that's very impressive. How would you say that like affected your overall behavior in school? You know, at the point where things started to change, where you noticed that we would say the wheat kind of, you know, fell from the shaft.
Well, like I said, I never wanted to let people know what I knew or didn't know. I didn't want them to be able to gauge my ability or knowledge because when I was younger in school, I was like a guinea pig. They put me in special ed
Mhm.
resource class, which I really didn't need to be in there. I was still, like I said, the younger I was, the more I was able to function right there with the rest of the children because the skill level didn't require that much. And seeing that I was intelligent and had abilities to memorize and do certain things and comprehend, I could get away with stuff. But in class, when the teacher call and say, "Hey, you know, Carl, it's your turn to read," and then I knew my skill level wasn't up there, and I never wanted to be looked at as a person that lacked the ability. I would act out or be like, I ain't gonna read, or you know, go to somebody else, and then it's like, well, you're refusing to do the work and stuff, where you're a troublemaker and this and that. So that kept me in the office and stuff. And like I said, once they put me in resource, then it was like they weren't teaching phonics. So even though I was in there, they still weren't teaching me what I needed to excel in school. So, like I said, they started putting me in situations where they was testing my intelligence, you know, IQ tests and everything. And they was like, well, hell, he's hella intelligent, but why is he going through this? So it became, you know, a question of me. And once people started questioning me, I started shutting down even more. I would take tests. I would draw a smiley face on the test and sign my name and be like, there you go. Y'all need to know what I know or don't know, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it brought a little insecurity to me. Like I said, didn't want to read out loud because people would make fun of it and stuff. That still affect me to this day. Though I
Yeah.
can read and stuff, I still don't want to mess up, and I still don't want to have to just use the elementary breakdown of phonics to come up with a word, and people be like, "Damn, he had to use the elementary breakdown of phonics to get that."
Mhm.
So, like I said, not using it for so long and not knowing about it for so long, I was uh I was way behind other people where it take a person to use the skills to come up with the word. You know, I believe I have a little dyslexica too or whatever. I can't even
Mhm.
say the word.
And
You know,
dyslexia.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I never looked into it, and nobody never really tested me on it because I'm 41. Back then, they wasn't doing that. But like I told people on the channel that day you was listening in, if you look at the school system, once upon a time they taught phonics.
Yep.
But then they changed over to A for apple. But they didn't say A, I, you know, B, buh. This
Right.
is phonics. You just deal with the sound of
And you know what was funny? It's funny not to interrupt, but it's funny. My wife's actually she was a kindergarten teacher. She's been a teacher for 20 years. And when I was telling her about kind of your story, she was just shaking her head because there was that period of time when they did, school system had stopped and gotten away from teaching phonics as a way to really kind of help kids, and now they're getting back to that. But I start to wonder what those parents who have come up through the system, it could have been like yourself, now that their children are coming in and learning phonics, do you think that that's kind of affecting how their whole parenting style, that relationship that the parent would have with a child? Do you think that that has anything to do with that?
well, anytime a child think they have superior whatever than their parents, then it becomes a tug of war. Because my father, like, he probably went to the third or fourth grade. My father was 48 when he had me. And he come from the old school. So I'm 41. He was 48. He'll be 89 right now. So at the end of the day, he didn't have to learn how to read and write. He could barely write his name. It would look like chicken scratch because he didn't practice writing his name. I got a brother. I mean, he's famous wherever he went for sitting down writing his name so much that they like, man, his handwriting is, he left-handed too. And once upon a time, he was in Chicago. He went to an elementary school, and I'm in a grocery store in the community, and there's a woman from the community that went to elementary school with him. I'm talking like he got me by 10 years, so this had to be a long time ago. She see me, recognized the family resemblance, and asked me if that was my brother. And then she like, he still write good, boy. All he used to do was sit down and write, in his penmanship. He's famous for it. People just know him for that.
Wow.
And so my daddy could barely write his name. He couldn't read or write. And he was trying to teach me multiplications. And so we got to 0 times 0 is 0. But he used the terminology that I never heard growing up. He said alt time alt is alt. And me and him almost damn near had a fist fight because I don't know what alt mean. And he like, yes, you do. I'm like, how you expect me to know that word? I never heard it and no one taught it to me. So you ain't finna sit up here, Then once I figured out what he was saying, because he didn't even show the 0. Once I figured out, oh, you saying 0 times 0 is 0. And he like, yeah, that's what I was saying. No, you didn't say that. You said alt time alt is alt. Yeah. So we almost had a fight. So anytime a child think they have superior whatever it is to their parents, it becomes a tug of war. And it's like, I'm smarter than you. I'm stronger than you. You know what I'm saying? Well, if they selling drugs, I got money and you don't got money. Well, what can you tell me? I'm a better person than you. So that does affect relationships. I can read, you can't.
Right. So you were kind of at all with your father at times because of that?
Nah, I never had no problems with that. You know what I'm saying? I never had
you were kind of at all.
Oh, my bad.
With your father.
Come on, mute yourself. My bad. I wanted to see the chat room and stuff, so forgive the echo.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
But nah, I ain't had no problem with my father, none of that stuff. For the longest, like I said, I could get away with it. Most people didn't know that I couldn't read because I was still intelligent enough.
But you could get away. You could get away with it.
It wasn't
like Blerd.
Just because you
type of read.
Yeah, just because you can't read don't mean you're ignorant or dumb, as people like to use the word, saying you can't speak on stuff. You can still verbalize and talk about issues and things because you still have the comprehension skills. You just, if you can't read the book, then you can't comprehend what the book is talking about. Or if you can't read the paper, you can't comprehend. But even with that, it was only the words that was difficult that I couldn't break down because of my lack of phonics and skills, that I just skim over that word. I do it now. I used to read the Bible and it'd be like a name or something, and I'd be like, well, y'all read better than me, so you
Say
know what the name is. I'ma skip it and keep reading.
say Nicodemus, you know.
Yeah, you like, you know what the name is. I'm gonna skip that and keep reading all the other things that I don't have to take the time out and use phonics, elementary, sounds and stuff to come up with the name.
Right. I think it's kind of funny how a lot of black folks try to knock, try to give black folks who have difficulty reading a hard time. Whereas when we were, came out of slavery, how many slaves actually knew how to read? And then what tool did they use in order to learn how to read? What was the only tool that was available to them?
Well,
So
it's like any handicap.
Mhm.
Being able not to read is a handicap to me. That's how I see it. I don't know what, scholarly minds, scientific minds, what they would say. But me, it's a handicap. And so just like any handicap, you strengthen other areas to be able to deal with the fact that you're lacking over there.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People that's in wheelchairs probably a little bit more stronger in their upper body and stuff, though they might be paraplegics when it comes to their lower half.
Mhm.
So with a handicap like not being able to read, when you hear a story, you hone in on what it's saying a little bit more, because you ain't gonna get a second time to go over the reading. So I need to get this and I need to get this now. I need to comprehend it and I need to comprehend it now. I don't have time to try to go over here and fumble and see if I can read through what this person just read. So it strengthened other learning abilities. You have to use them more to what would you say to deal with the fact that you're lacking over here?
Yeah, to compensate.
Yeah, compensate. That's a good word.
There you go, man. To compensate. Yeah, we all know about a lot about something, man. So, and I think that kind of brings me to that doggedness behind what you have. I like to say, I like to call you a Diogenes. Are you familiar with the story of Diogenes?
Nah, I'm
Okay, so Diogenes was he was actually a philosopher I believe it was under Aristotle, but he was a philosopher, and he walked around with a lamp, and he was looking for an honest man to fill up his lamp. So they called him, because he looked like he was looking in such a dogged way to find someone to fill up his lamp. He earned like a nickname. They called him the dog. So because that's just something, it's just kind of something that reminds me of you, because of the way that you really try to dial in and chase something, because you have to get it right that first time. And I think that like I'd like to bring that to where we are right now with the thing going on with Africa Bambaataa. Do you mind just giving this kind of telling us a little bit about that?
well.
Does that make sense? Make sense what I'm saying? You
Yeah, I
you
understand, but my
yeah.
thing is, what would you like me to start? Because it's a depending on what point you start at.
Yeah. Let's do the Cliffs Notes. Let's do the Cliffs Notes. When you found out, when you first heard the story, just like you first heard something, you heard a story, or when you were learning how to manipulate something as a kid, you had to dial in. At what point did something jump out to you to make you want to dial in on that? How
Well,
about that?
it come natural. My family is like a TV family. My father was the type of person that watched TV. He'll get into the movie and stuff. Me and him, we was in the bed one day watching TV, and my nephew. We was sitting in the bed. We was watching the Little Indian or whatever, in the toy box where they put the toy and cowboy and the Indian in there, and they twist the thing and they become real. Well, you remember the scene where the rat jump up out the little hole in the floor and try to get him?
Uh-huh.
Well, I would be into the TV deep, but I never jumped from too many, so-called scary parts in the movie. Nightmare on Elm Street is the only movie that scared me.
Mm-hmm.
Made me wet my pants as a youngster. And once I realized that that's like the worst it can get to me, I never was afraid of stuff like that no more. So when the rat jumped out the hole, my father like jumped in the bed, like he was watching it that deep. And when that scene came, it started him.
Yeah.
Like, but I anticipate scenes like that. I anticipate stuff. I can watch the beginning of the movie and damn near break down a movie before it even gets started. I don't like watching TV shows or movies in the middle. I like the beginning. Prime example, Forrest Gump. If you watch it from the beginning and he's sitting on the bench, the leaf come down and he put it in the book. Well, when I first seen Forrest Gump, one of my elder brothers was watching it. I came in, I was watching something else. I came in at the end and I seen that fella when he opened up the book flying away.
Yeah.
And I'm looking like, what the hell is this scene? And it took me about 5 months before I seen Forrest Gump, because I seen it, that end scene in Arkansas. I just moved to California with another one of my brothers. And I guess it was coming out on DVD, I don't know, a bootleg or something. And I watched it. And when I seen him pick up the fella and put it in the book, I said, that's what's at the end. So anticipation and having comprehensions and the skills to see what is going on before my eyes, like I said, that may be due to the fact that I had a handicap in reading this stuff. I home in on that type of stuff. In English class, like I said, though when I started reading and I still wasn't reading that good because I was learning the techniques and stuff. In English, I had no problems when people read in class and it came down to the comprehension of what's going on in the story. I remember the story. I comprehend what's going on and stuff. So, like I said, you to compensate for not being able to read, that's what happened. So, like you say, the Africa Mambata story, it's the same thing, or any story. When I'm sitting down listening to stuff, I'm inputting data. And like I said, you got to have that memory when you can't read and you see a word and you say, oh, that's house. So next time you see it, boom, that's house. Next time you see dog, cat, or whatever, or somebody's name, that memorization got to kick in because you can't break down the word. You can't use the syllables of the phonics to break it down. You just got to remember it as a whole. So it helps with memory a lot, or it helped with my memory a lot. So with the Africa Bambaataa story, I was working at the time and I was getting as much information as I could. When I stopped working, I was still working the Africa Bambaataa story. So I reached out to her son Camel to talk about it more. Things happened. Me and him got into, back and forth discourse. He went in and disrespected my deceased mother. And now we over here today. A lot of stuff didn't happen. So like I said, depending on where you want to start or how much information would you like me to,
Well, I know we actually have one of the interviews that you did with the Hip Hop News Uncensored Truth podcast. We have that on our channel as well. So I know that it's something I'm going to be directing a lot of people to that interview, so they can catch that interview if they have some additional questions. But yeah, we do also cover the African Bambaataa story on Blerd Planet. So thank you so much for going into that and kind of telling me how you dialed in on that story. That going forward with as far as with your reading, I know you on your show you use a lot of tools. You use Alex. Is that Alexa or is that Alex? What do you?
That's just I got a MacBook Pro. So with a MacBook Pro, like I tell people, you can highlight the words and you go to the edit section and hit speech, and the computer will read for you. So like sometimes I go at reading, but then if I see a lot of words and I gotta break it down, then I'll be like, well, I ain't gonna read. I just have Alex read it. And sometimes when he reading, he don't break it down that good because
Computer.
computer.
Yeah, he only knows so much.
Yeah, so that's what it is. But just to answer a person in your chat or in the chat, the conversation about the topic is about reading. And when did I learn how to read? Because I didn't learn at a young age, and I really don't claim to be able to do that today. Read, that is. So that's the topic.
So going forward, what's your plan? What's part of your plan? I know if let's say Alex leaves away, what's your plan to become a better reader? Because we know readers are leaders. So what becomes, what's your plan to become a better reader? And yeah, what's your plan there?
Well, I don't think Alex going nowhere because when they made one MacBook Pro, they didn't stop. So
Right.
if Alex go out, get him fixed, or go buy another Alex. But the way you learn how to read better, which, as I say, a person's supposed to work on the things that they lack in. That's how you get better at whatever. You just work it more. If you're making beats and you know how to do the drum pads and make a good drum beat, well, what about finding samples and chopping up the samples? How's your skills there? So don't make too many drum beats. Just use one drum beat and go chop up a lot of samples to that one drum beat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
A drum pattern. So the thing is to work on what you lack in the most. And reading is something I do lack in more than anything else, but I don't work on it.
Okay.
Sadly to say that the anus, the a-hole that I am, I don't really work on it.
Okay.
But I read a lot more than I used to. So in doing that, it'll fix itself pretty much.
Yeah, it's working itself out.
Yeah.
You think now with the name Israel Doctrine, and I know that you talk a lot about the Bible. As we come closer, because we believe we're in the end times as well. As you come closer to that time, there's more information that comes out about that. Do you think that you're going to start to grab more of that literature about end time prophecy and really?
I do. I mean, that's why I said I read a lot more than I can't even tell you how much I read and how much I have Alex reading or whatever to gain knowledge and information that's out there.
Yeah.
On all kind of subjects. That's why I'm well versed in a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because like I said, due to the fact that I lack so long, I don't sit down and say, well, I'm gonna do this and get better at it and try to prove something to somebody. I know myself what I can do, and if I wanted to do it better, I could do it better. But I don't compete with that. So that's what I do though.
Yeah.
I download PDFs, books, stuff, read it. And then, like I said, if it come to the point, I go back to my elementary. Nobody's around. I put a dictionary out and start dealing with vocabulary and stuff. I'm reading a book, it's a word, and I don't know what it is. So the comprehension of the conversation is not really there because I don't even know what it is. Like, give an example. I used to work at a boatyard, AAA boatyard in Chicago, Illinois, pulling boats out the water in the wintertime. So it was summertime, we put all the boats in the water, and my boss was a Caucasian European. And he said, hey, just go out there and pick up all the miscellaneous stuff on the yard. Well, number one, I know he want me to pick up something on the yard, but I didn't know what miscellaneous was. So I had to go look up the word. So meaning I got to try to figure out the syllables, the sounds, go through the M's and miss and this and oh, here it is. You know what I'm saying? To find out what miscellaneous meant. And that just mean all the little stuff on the yard, to break it down simply. So it wasn't a particular thing on the yard. It was just all the little things that was on the yard. That's miscellaneous.
Yeah.
So it's a forever learning process. But the more you deal with it, the more the skills grow, the stronger you get at it. So as I tell people, I'm a person again that don't like to allow people gauge me if I could do it or can't do it. It's just when I need it, hopefully I got it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And people don't know if I got it or not until they put me in a situation and they be like, oh, shit, he really has it.
Mm-hmm.
Or, oh, he didn't have it. So you have to test me to get the best of me out. I don't just give you the best, and you know, because when you set the bar high, you gotta do that. When the bar is low, it's no expectations from you.
Mm-hmm.
So people could say, well, you just lying and this and that, but that's one of my reasons for saying I don't read, I don't write, I can't spell, I can't do these things. And then if I do them, it was no expectations for me to do them anyway. And that's why I was tripping the other day. Shout out to Khalil Money when he wrote that article and I brought up this conversation, is due to the fact that if you go to school and you got a degree in writing, and there's other people out there with degrees and they know you're supposed to have a degree, when you mess up,
mm-hmm.
then you messed up.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to know better.
Yeah.
You was taught better.
Yeah.
You've been working at this skill all your life. How do you miss a free throw at the end of the game?
Mm-hmm.
You was under that much pressure that you couldn't perform now? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You talking to a young lady all night and you telling her you gonna rock her world. She get naked and you go limp. You sold her a beautiful dream, but you couldn't come through. So I don't sell. Yeah, I don't sell people a beautiful dream and then don't come through. I'm gonna tell you I can't do it, and if I come through, then you're gonna be like, see there, you should have had more, you know, more hope. Yeah, you should have
believed you the whole time.
Yeah. And it's like, well, I know I could do it anyway, but I wasn't gonna tell you all of this or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because then your expectations is up there, and I gotta perform to your expectations. Yeah. This is a situation that I learned. See, I learn all the time. We should learn from everything, everybody, and stuff. This is what I learned. I was in Chattanooga, Tennessee. My niece was graduating, and I'm down there saying I'm finna go to the club, and I'm about to get my Rick James on. And I was selling my expectations when I get to the club. Well, she had all these female friends and stuff, and they like, well, I ain't going to the club tonight. I want to see if you get your Rick James on now. Man, my mama here, my daddy here, and all these people, family. I can't do the Rick James in the house. You gotta come to the club. But we just talking about it, they hormones or whatever. They wanted to see the Rick James. They like, I guess I ain't never been pretty or ugly guy. They looked at me and said, he get his Rick James on? What is that? So I learned not to sell expectations to people too. Because when people looking for something, they looking for it. And when you don't fulfill that which they looking for, you can have a problem on your hand.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, man, for interviewing today with us. We're going into further depth about education and how you kind of overcame with this on the website Blerdplanet.com. Also, this is going to be posted on the Blerd channel on YouTube. So thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate.
All right, man.
And make sure you send me the link. We're going to communicate so I can put it under this video and they can go over there and support with a view or whatever.
Okay. Sounds great, man.
All right.
All right.
Peace.
Bye.